Picture this, a 62-year-old Japanese cross-dresser, well known in high society, attends a grand ball. After the night of dance and revelry, he retreats to a love hotel, only to meet a grisly end. His head savagely severed from his body. The investigators, casting their nets wide, zero in on an unlikely suspect, a young woman in her 20s. But the plot thickens. The girl's parents were not only aware of the crime, but they were deeply involved in its execution. The family of three lived a bizarrely tranquil life, cohabitating with the severed head as if it were but another member of their household. Let us delve into this case, a real-life horror story that outdoes even the most imaginative of movies. Beneath a serene surface, life, death, unfathomable. Welcome to The Killers Among Us, and today I bring you a chilling tale that recently unfolded in Japan. Our story begins in Susukino, Hokkaido, a bustling street where the city's glittering nightlife threads. A myriad of bars, clubs, karaoke, ramen shops, and izakaya dot this bustling street, with over 4,000 entertainment and dining establishments. Even into the wee hours of the night, patrons continue to throng the place. Alongside Tokyo's kabukichos and kusho in Fukuoka, it counted among Japan's three major red light districts. Despite the myriad entertainment venues, Susukino has always been a safe haven. But on July 2, 2023, around 3 p.m., a bone-chilling crime rocked a love hotel nestled in the heart of Susukino. A love hotel is a type of hotel found primarily in Japan that offers short-term accommodation to couples for intimate or romantic encounters. These hotels cater to individuals or couples who seek privacy and discretion for a few hours or overnight stays. Love hotels are often characterized by their unique and rare room themes, elaborate decor, and amenities designed to enhance the romantic and sensory experience. In room 202, hotel staff stumbled upon a macabre sight: a headless male corpse in the bathroom. The police were alerted immediately and rushed to the scene. The staff informed the police that the pink-themed room 202 was checked in by two guests, one tall, one short, the previous night around 11 p.m. Around 2 a.m., the reception received a call from room 202. A female voice, presumably, requested to check out alone, and soon after, the shorter guest departed. The person's gender was indiscernible. At 3 p.m., when the staff realized there still might be one guest in room 202 who hadn't checked out, they tried reaching out, but to no avail. Upon knocking and receiving no response, they entered the room to find it immaculately clean and seemingly empty until they discovered the gruesome spectacle in the bathroom. It was as if no one had ever lived there. But upon inspecting the room and bathroom later, an unexpected discovery was made. In the bathtub laid a headless corpse. This love hotel had a total of 7 floors with 2 rooms on each floor. The room where the body was found was on the 2nd floor. The room was immaculate with no sign of struggle in the bathroom. The authorities examined various details of the body. The deceased was a male, approximately 1.7 meters tall, found in a crouched position. He had suffered a fatal stab wound, leading to death by hemorrhagic shock. There was no sign of a flight at the scene, and the victim had no defensive wounds. No trace of sedative or other drugs were detected in his body. The initial speculation is that the victim was showering when suddenly attacked with a knife to a vital area, and his head was subsequently severed. The blood stain at the scene had been wiped clean, and no murder weapon was found. There were no personal belongings, cell phones, clothing, or shoes related to the victim in the room. The victim's fingerprints did not match any records in the fingerprint database, indicating no criminal history. Based on this, the case appeared relatively clear. The primary suspect in the case is the mysterious person who entered the room with the victim on the night of the incident. The police are now desperate to confirm the identity of the deceased and locate this enigmatic individual. The authorities revealed the surveillance footage from the hotel and its surroundings. On July 1st at 10:50, the male victim and a suspicious individual, a seemingly female figure, wearing white clothes and a large brimmed black hat while dragging a big suitcase, arrived at the hotel and checked into room 202. At July 2nd at 2 a.m., the mysterious person changed her attire, donning a loose-fitting black overcoat, a black hat, and a mask. The surveillance footage captured the moment when the mysterious person left alone, completely concealing her body in the late hours of the night. With the enormous suitcase and backpack, it became clear to the investigators that the mysterious person had calmly placed the victim's head and all personal belongings into the luggage and departed without a trace. The authorities quickly established a task force consisting of 240 police officers to conduct an in-depth investigation. It didn't take long for the victim's identity to be confirmed. The deceased name is Hitoshi Yura, a 62-year-old man. After graduation from high school, he worked in Tokyo and Asakawa for a long time before returning to Sapporo after getting married and having children. He had been employed at a gypsum decoration company for over 10 years. The swift confirmation of his identity was due to his wife's concern on the evening of the incident, as Hitoshi had not returned home and could not be reached by phone. She became anxious and called the police. When the police arrived at his home and conducted a comparison of fingerprints and surgical scars, they ultimately confirmed that the Headless male corpse found 30 kilometers away at the Love Hotel was indeed Hitoshi. His vehicle was also found in a parking lot not far from the hotel, but there were no valuable clues inside the car. The wife was unaware of why her husband would be at the hotel, and after thorough investigation, it was discovered that Hitoshi had a cross-dressing fetish. After work, he would often dress up in women's clothing and visit various entertainment venues frequently. On the day before his murder, July 1st, Hitoshi did not inform his family of his whereabouts and drove alone from Iniwa to Sapporo to attend a disco party at the bar. Nearly 400 people attended the event, which took place from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. The attendees ranged in age from their 40s to their 60s, and everyone dressed. A small number of individuals chose to cross-dress as well, including Hitoshi. He was a regular at these events and would often attend them dressed as a woman without his family knowledge. On that day, Hitoshi wore a sparkling swimsuit-like outfit and carried a glowing bag on his back. After enjoying the party, he left the bar alone and encountered a mysterious person with a large black suitcase on a nearby row. The mysterious person had a smaller stature, and after chatting for a while, Hitoshi entered the Love Hotel with her at 10:50 p.m. Later, the mysterious person checked out, leaving the hotel in the earlier hours of the morning. Hiroshi was an ordinary office worker who appeared quiet and non-confrontational to the residents nearby. Although he didn't interact much with people around him, he gave the impression of being a low-key and gentle person. However, those who knew him in the bar scene had a different image of Hitoshi. Starting 7 or 8 years ago, he began dressing in women's clothing and participating in various activities, frequenting dance clubs and bars, enjoying the nightlife, and mingling with others. When he was alone, he would quietly approach familiar faces, engage in joyful conversation, and participate in activities with female friends. He was a person with great charisma, and his years of cross-dressing experience gave him expertise in makeup and feminine attire. His tasteful clothing and relatively refined appearance were enough to deceive others. Despite being over 60 years old, Hitoshi matured an intellectual appearance when dressed as a woman, making him appear to be in his 40s. Cross-dressing was Hitoshi's hobby, and those who were familiar with him knew that his sexual orientation was normal. By frequently attending this gathering, he would use his feminine appearance to put many girls at ease. The enigmatic figure behind the murder of Hitoshi, the cross-dressing aficionado, and the reasons for such a brutal decapitation inside a themed hotel remained shrouded in mystery. The individual who accompanied him into the hotel that night carried a large black suitcase containing not only fresh clothing but also weapons, indicating a premeditated crime. The question of who the perpetrator could be and why they would commit such a heinous act of severing Hitoshi's head lingered on. The whereabouts of the severed head also remained unknown. With a significant amount of clues gathered about Hitoshi, the police started considering his starkly different nocturnal activities from his everyday life. Hitoshi's family was completely unaware of his alter ego as a cross-dressing enthusiast. Therefore, when he entered the themed hotel in the company of the mysterious individual, it was likely related to his nighttime persona. Following this lead, the police embarked on a painstaking process of identifying Hitoshi's social media accounts. After over 3 weeks of investigation, they discovered that the mysterious individuals captured on surveillance footage was none other than Runa Tamura, a 29-year-old woman residing in Sapporo. What shocked everyone even more was the fact that there was not just one suspect arrested. On July 24, 2023, the police arrested Runa Tamura on charges of disposing of a body and intentionally mutilating a corpse. Alongside her, her 59-year-old father, Osamu Tamura, was also apprehended. On July 25, Runa's mother, Haruko Tamura, was arrested for suspicions of aiding in a crime. During the search of the family's residence, the police made a gruesome discovery in the bathroom: a partially decomposed human head. Through dental records, it was confirmed to be Hitoshi's head. The case of the headless cross-dressing enthusiast found in the Love Hotel had already captivated public attention. Now, the fact that the culprits turned out to be a family of 3 created an even more contrasting narrative. The Tamura family was economically well-off and exuded an artistic aura. Osamu Tamura, 59, worked as a psychiatrist and held the position of department head at a psychiatric hospital in Sapporo. He was known for his dedication and diligence, receiving high praise from his patients and enjoying a stellar reputation. People described him as a warm and sociable individual. His hobbies were diverse, starting from his earlier years when he played in a band. Over the years, he frequently participated in various performances during his spare time and regularly updated videos of himself playing the guitar on social media. Osamu's wife, Haruko Tamura, was an artistic woman who had a passion for painting insects and flowers. In her youth, she worked at an art gallery and even played the role of a college student in a local produced film by a movie enthusiast. However, she currently worked part-time and spent her days painting and taking care of the household plants. Osamu often showcased Haruko's artworks on his social media accounts, demonstrating their deep affection for each other. The most crucial factor in this family dynamic was their daughter, Bruna Tamura, who was 29 years old and stood at a height of 1.6 meters. She rarely left the confines of their home and had no regular employment. Her solitary nature and the fact that she suffered from epilepsy make her somewhat reclusive. Bruna spent little time in elementary school, even less in junior high and high school. The Tamura couples, her parents, particularly spoiled their only daughter. They had no issues with her staying at home all day, neither studying nor working. They even went to a jewelry store to pick out a birthday gift for her, and the shop owner remembered their eyes brimming with affection for their daughter. People who knew Bruna described her as quite radical. Once in elementary school, when a male classmate made fun of her clothes, she was quick to pull out a small knife from her pencil case and charge at him. Thankfully, she was stopped by other students. She warned him that if he were to say such things again, she would not hesitate to stab him. The family was of middle-class intellectuals. Her parents were quite artistic and well-mannered, and Brunas mostly stayed at home. What could have possibly led them to conspire and commit such a heinous act? Previously, it was mentioned that Hitoshi often dressed in women's clothes, frequented various entertainment venues, and flirted with young girls. After the incident, some insiders revealed less known details. He liked to approach girls in women's clothing, making them drop their guard. Once he felt close enough, he would harass them. A girl who had been harassed by Hitoshi recalled her encounter with him at a bar. Initially, from his outfits to his language, everything was very feminine. He projected an image of a caring big sister, which quickly made people drop their guard. But as he got more familiar with the girls, they began to notice his true intent. He would frequently compliment them, let his eye wander over their bodies, make physical contact, and even follow them into the ladies' restroom. It wasn't until the girl called the staff that Hitoshi stopped. She also mentions that at the end of the night, she saw Hitoshi take a girl with him out of the bar, suggesting they share a room for the night since there were no more buses. This much is clear. Hitoshi's preference for wearing women's clothing was not indicative of a different sexual orientation. He was simply audacious, using women's clothing as bait in entertainment venues. If a girl was even slightly negligent for her safety, she could easily fall into his trap. This will was confirmed by Bruna's grandfather. He had heard from Bruna's parents about her experience. Bruna didn't like boys and would occasionally visit gay bars in Susukino. In late May, at a bar in Susukino, she first met Hitoshi. He approached Bruna, dressed in women's clothing. A screenshot from a video in a bar in May showed them smiling and dancing together. After leaving the bar, Hitoshi suggested they go to a hotel room together. Being homebound and having almost no social experience or awareness, Runners, thinking him was a woman, didn't think much of being taken to a hotel. There, she was violated. The whole process was even filmed by him. Having hardly attended school and lacking experience, Bruno fell into Hitoshi's trap. After the incident, he didn't stop. Instead, he used the video to blackmail Werner, forcing her to meet him several more times. Throughout this ordeal, Werner suffered immense harm and eventually broke down, revealing what had happened to her family. After learning about their daughter's ordeal, the Tamura couples contacted Hitoshi and sternly warned him to stay away from their daughter. The grandfather learned about the situation from his son and daughter-in-law and specifically asked why they hadn't reported it to the police. The couple explains that they didn't want to make a big fuss about it, as it wouldn't be good for their daughter if the matters became public. However, they had made it very clear to Hitoshi that he should never harass Werner again. Unfortunately, the family was taken aback when they realized that he didn't keep his word. He continued to hold on to the videos and once again threatened the entire Tamura family. Unable to bear it any longer, they eventually devised a desperate plan to solve their daughter's problem. Being parents who had always doted on their daughter, the Tamura couples went beyond their limits, crossing the final line according to their daughter's wishes. After contemplating the idea and devising a plan to kill Hitoshi, on the evening of July 1st, Mr. Tamura and Werner went to a supermarket to purchase a saw, knives, and a suitcase. Werner packed black clothing, the saw, props, and a backpack into the suitcase. Mr. Tamura drove his daughter near the hotel and parked the car, waiting for her nearby. After Hitoshi finished attending a party, they met by the roadside, and then both proceeded to the prearranged hotel. Once in room 202, while he was undressing and heading to the bathroom, Werner took out the knife and saw from the suitcase. She stabbed Hitoshi violently from behind before he could react, striking a fatal blow. Immediately, Werner used the saw to detach Hitoshi's head and place it inside the suitcase. She changed her bloody clothes, put them and the tools used for the crime into the backpack and suitcase, called the front desk, and left room 202. Knowing they had succeeded, Mr. Tamura picked up his daughter in a car and they returned home with a head in their possession. In the earlier hours of the second day, Mr. Tamura went to a convenience store near their home and purchased 10 bags of ice. His initial intention was to use the ice to prevent the head from decomposing and emitting an odor. However, due to the hot weather, the head started rotting within days. Having a severed head laying around the house, the family couldn't continue living peacefully. Neighbors began to notice the changes, with the couples no longer taking care of the garden as meticulously as before. The once tidy villa became filled with trash and overgrown with weeds. Mr. Tamura also started being absent from hospital frequently. Neighbor reported seeing him several times, sitting on doorstep, eating instant noodles, an image that drastically contrasts with his previous refined and intellectual demeanor. It's hard to imagine that a doctor with such a strong artistic and cultural presence would resort to such a drastic plan when he could have sought justice for his daughter through more appropriate means. The most disturbing aspect of the whole situation is that Hitoshi, despite being older, treated cross-dressing as a means of seduction, disregarding the will of the women involved. The case happened recently, and the investigation into the planning process by the Tamura family is still ongoing. We do not have complete details at the moment, but we will share any updates with you in the future. If you enjoy it, remember to follow me and see you soon.